Welcome. Come on in. Today's video, this one, is about grief counselling. The Oxford Dictionary says that grief is referred to as intense sorrow. Does that mean that grief counselling means looking for someone who specialises in sorrow? I don't think so. Grief contains many emotions that come from a loss. It's the process of how we deal with them we call grief. It's a process that has no definitive timeline. Sometimes we beat ourselves up with negative thoughts that slow the process down. I shouldn't feel this, I shouldn't think that. And we get angry because someone has died and left us, and we feel bad because we feel angry. Guilty because we could have done more. Grief is about coming to a sense of peace, a sense of it's okay with whatever that loss is. And we take as long as we need to get there. Grief, like trauma, has levels of severity. The loss of a wife, husband that you've been with for 25 years, the biggest love ever, that's huge, that's going to be difficult. The loss of a job that you didn't really want and you made redundant and you got paid out. You didn't really care for anyone you worked with. That's right at the other end of the spectrum. Let's look at loss. So the first loss you have, the most significant loss you have, is birth. When you're being created, you exist in a body. You exist in a liquid, physically connected to another human being, and all sound and light is muffled, and you are in a warm environment. In the space of hopefully a few minutes, you come out into a world that is cold. There are lights, there are sounds, there are your connection is severed. You go from being in a liquid to being in a gas and having to breathe. Now that's a huge loss of one environment to another. Yet we don't seem to struggle with that. It's a natural process. Part of the reason we don't struggle with that is because our brains aren't fully developed. We haven't learned to resist it. It's just something that happens, and it's ingrained into our body as something that we need to do. As a child, there's all this new stuff to explore. The idea that somehow we've lost something that is important we get back doesn't exist. So, yet, we often struggle with loss once we start to get older. Now, I'm not an expert. I have a lot of life experience of making mistakes, and each mistake has taught me a lesson. And these lessons have allowed me to become the best of me. I have an inbuilt happiness and hope for the world that we live in. I have learnt loss is necessary to have more integration of myself and more wisdom. I like to make things simple. We have enough complexity in the world. My work is simple. I use the ACT process: awareness, connection, transformation. And the whole point of it is that raising your awareness about something that needs to be worked on, connecting with that, and in doing that, it's transformed. And you create more of yourself, more experience, more wisdom. A psychiatrist called Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, did some work on the stages of grief. And she came up with a number of stages that you go through when you're grieving. Denial, you're in shock. Has this really happened? I just don't believe it. Anger, the emotional response to protect you against the pain of the loss. Bargaining, surely if I agree to do this, then it doesn't have to happen to me. It's like making a deal with God, please can we make this better? And then getting depressed. We're trying to suppress the feelings, trying to get away from the pain and the loss, and eventually acceptance. What ways do we have loss? Well, a relationship breakup, a friendship, a death of someone close, an animal, a loss of a pet, a cat, a dog, the loss of status, a job loss, a loss of respect in the community, our health, a loss of ability to do something, or from being young to being older and not being able to do things. a loss of self, when a part of us has been buried and there's shame or guilt around it that can't be reconciled. So we grieve, we have this grieving. Remember the person whose spouse had died 25 years ago, the love of their life. With that amount of time, they would have internalized the other person as being a part of them. You often see people that have been together so much, they have similar mannerisms, they become very connected. So when you lose your partner, it's like losing a part of yourself, because that's what it feels like. A part of me has gone. But the point is that loss is a part of life, and it happens all the time. Without loss, there is no change, because loss is about change. And if there's one thing in life I'm absolutely certain about, everything changes. My life changes all the time. My cells are dying and being reborn. I want to work more with the loss of self. One of the things that comes up for people when I'm working with them is they don't want to change because it means a part of them has to be let go of. If they've always been a victim in life, for them to move on, the victim has to be they have to lose the victim. They have to grieve the loss of the victim to become who they need to become. And sometimes we'd rather stay in what we're familiar than face the unknown. But that's an illusion. If we don't change, we just suffer more. We have a loss of potential, a loss of wisdom. We just have familiarity. And that doesn't give us anything. And it actually doesn't actually give us safety. And it doesn't give us growth. So who am I to talk about grief? I've actually spent 40 years not dealing with my own. Moving to New Zealand from Australia, and the loss of my one and only friend, going to school and not feeling safe, my first love and my heart being broken on the telephone, and feeling the pain and not wanting that to happen to me again. My parents, they're both passed. I'm now an orphan. These are all different ways we have loss. But there's two sides to this loss. There is the pain and the suffering and the grief we go through, but there's the wisdom, there's the thing that comes next. My relationship with my parents is far better than it ever was when they're alive. It may sound weird, but I feel like I know them more now. I've lived more life. I've lived ways that are like how they've lived, and I can appreciate them more. But without that loss, I wouldn't have got that. And I've gained wisdom. Remember I said wisdom? You gain wisdom. And I hold that dear to my heart. I still have the memories. I've lost the physicalness of my parents, but I still have the memories of them. Every experience I ever have, every loss I have, I don't lose the memories. I don't lose how I can hold it to myself. So life has changed, life is loss, and we get to choose how we deal with it. I've learnt that embracing is way easier. Okay, let's do a quick body check on the level of loss spectrum. So I want you to be sitting down and just really relaxed. So slowing down your breathing, trying to be present. If you're in a place where you may get disturbed over the next 5 minutes, then I suggest you stop the video and try and make somewhere where you can. You can have 5 minutes knowing that I can just be present. And what I want you to do is I just want you to just be in your body, just be present, just be noticing your breathing, being calm. How do you feel? What do you feel? Is there something you feel anxious about? Can you feel anger? Can you feel sadness? If you can, where do you feel it? Where is it in your body? Just notice how you feel. Do you feel numb when you try to connect with your body? Do you just feel disconnected? Do you feel that you have a lack of taste. You don't want food. You don't desire things like you used to. You've got a loss of appetite, or you can't stop eating. All of these are ways that we can sort of know, yes, we may have some grief going on. And if you were to do, well, okay, 1 is all good, I'm okay with my losses, and 10, I'm consumed by grief, then where are you? If your level of grief is higher than you would like, then let's change that. Treat it as an adventure, an opportunity to reduce your loss levels, and the worst thing that can happen is you feel a bit happier. If you haven't seen my work on SRI, I would suggest you watch my depression and anxiety video. That gives you a bit more. So you're basically using your hands to find where you feel sad. Where do I feel sad? And to just be with it. To just be with it and allow yourself to feel it. The second one, writing a lost letter. Write a story. All the memories, all the emotions, all how you feel and think. Make it tangible. Put it down, get it all written down so it's all recorded. Then you could burn it. It's like a way of symbolically letting go. Don't worry, you don't have to burn it straight away. You can hold it for as long as you like. But you've got it outside of you. You can make a loss list. The emotions that you're struggling with, the sadness, the anger, the thoughts that are bothering you. I'm feeling guilty because of this. It's all about being able to process, going through the process of grief and being able to find ways to deal with it. And often getting it out of yourself is what helps the most. Build something, create some, if you're a hobbyist, create something that symbolises it. All of this will help. Remember I said about the ACT process? It's raising awareness of it, connecting with it, and allowing it to transform. Life has loss. Being with it, not resisting it, is what gives us peace and allows us to be okay with ourselves. Now once you've done all this, go back and do your scale. How are you now? Have the scales changed? Hopefully they have. Do you want a better understanding of grief? New ways to think about it. I've put links in the description with things I recommend that will be useful to learn a bit more about it. You can make a comment and see what you get back. Sharing your thoughts and sharing ourselves makes grief easier. I'll leave you with a parting thought. As I grew up, I closed down parts of me I didn't know how to deal with. As I was doing this video, I'm smiling. It was fun, not a struggle. I imagined a playground, and I'm playing in this playground with little versions of me. The kid that struggled at school, the kid that came to New Zealand from Australia. And I was there with them, and I was supportive of them. I didn't dismiss or resist or try to move away from anything. I just stayed with me, all the parts of me that make me me. And we played together, having fun with the wonder of words as I created this video. Enjoy, and I hope to see you soon.